Heavenly Revelation. 3 miraculous ways to cast your burdens and experience divine deliverance. In the heart of a quaint English village, the aged church stood tall, its stained glass windows glowing as if kissed by angels. Mary, a devoted mother, walked into its embrace with a heavy heart. Her only son, James, lay ill, an unseen specter threatening their family's happiness. Doctors had turned their backs on hope, their words swirling around her like chilling autumn winds. Yet the flicker of faith refused to die. Each night, Mary and her husband knelt by James's bedside, invoking St. Jude, the saint assigned to hopeless causes. "Please, Lord," Mary prayed, her voice barely a whisper. Her heart strained with desperation, making every prayer feel like a feather cast into an endless storm. One evening, while searching through her grandmother's cherished Bible, Mary stumbled upon an ancient scripture nestled between fragile pages. The passage glowed with promise, speaking of divine deliverance. "And the Lord shall restore the years the locusts have eaten." A surge of warmth flooded her, renewed faith ignited within. She envisioned gathering the community for a prayer vigil, inviting them to pour their burdens at the feet of the Lord. But a fierce storm approached, dark clouds swirling eerily in the evening sky. Wind howled like a pack of wolves, mirroring the turmoil in her heart. With each rumble of thunder, doubts crept in, seeking to drown her hope. In her fear, Mary sought alternative remedies, desperation leading her onto paths that only deepened her frustration. The sacred bond she cherished felt frayed, stretched thin like a spider's web. Then, one fateful night at the church, as the congregation gathered, an elderly stranger slipped in. His presence was like an otherworldly glow in the dimmed lights. "Hope shall not abandon you," he proclaimed, his voice echoing with authority. "Something wondrous is brewing in the spirit realm." Mary felt a pulse of anticipation, a recognition of something profound. The stranger's words became vessels of assurance, reaching deep into the trembling fabric of her heart. As the storm raged, charged with tension, Mary sensed a divine presence invading the space. The congregation grasped hands, their murmured prayers weaving a tapestry of faith. The winds started to ease, yet uncertainty loomed over every soul. Was their faith strong enough to pierce the storm? Just then, shafts of ethereal light broke through the clouds, illuminating the church with a celestial glow. Gasps filled the room. There was a palpable shift in the air, a divine spark. Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now, let's continue. With renewed fervor, Mary's prayers ascended high, mingling with the lingering tension in the air. Faces reflected reverence and fear, hope fighting through doubt. The storm had become a dance of divine intervention, each drop against the church's roof a reminder of their fervent pleas. Mary's heart quickened, drawn to the promise of healing, yet haunted by the shadows of uncertainty. Would they see a miracle? Was this light the dawn of deliverance, or merely a fleeting apparition? The congregation held its breath, waiting for the storm-swept night to reveal its secrets, while Mary faced the delicate balance between unwavering faith and lurking doubt, a choice as fragile as the last ray of light before total dark. The prayers grew louder, infused with a collective faith that seemed to hang in the air like a fragrant incense. Mary felt a pulse beneath her skin, an electric current fueled by hope and desperation. As the vibrant light spread through the church, her heart swelled, resonating with the essence of something greater than herself, a divine surge awakening her soul. In that sacred moment, the elderly stranger stepped forward. His face radiated wisdom, lined with the tracks of a life lived in pursuit of the divine. "Tonight," he began, his voice steady, slicing through the tension, "is a night of miracles. But miracles require our willingness to let go. Can you release your doubts, your fears? Mary closed her eyes, tears welling as she contemplated his words. Letting go felt like untying a knot that had intertwined with her very being. But she sensed the truth in his voice, a whispered promise that resonated deep within her spirit. She took a breath, gathering her strength, drawing on faith that felt like a wellspring, unyielding and pure. The wind sang a new tune, lifting the weight of the storm, as if acknowledging her silent declaration. Mary opened her eyes, meeting the gaze of her husband. His eyes were wide, reflecting a similar illumination of hope, mingled with an echo of fear. Together they reached out, hands entwined, clinging not just to each other, but to the promise of healing, to divine restoration. The congregation began to murmur, voices rising like waves, creating a symphony of belief. Each note filled the space, amplifying the light that surrounded them. "Jesus, the healer," someone whispered, while another cried out, "St. Jude, intercede for us." These were not just words, they were declarations, footsteps towards a shared destination in faith. Suddenly, a soft glow enveloped James's name, flickering like a candlelight in the shadow of the dark. Mary felt an unknown warmth seep into her heart, cascading through her veins. A hush swept over the crowd as the elderly stranger raised his hands, directing their collective gaze upwards towards the overflow of holy light. "Lift your arms, O faithful ones, cast your burdens to the heavens, and receive the grace that is already in motion." His voice soared, echoing against the walls, urging every heart to engage with the divine. With each moment, Mary felt a weight begin to lift. It wasn't just the doubt, it was the entire burden that had settled upon her soul since James fell ill. As the congregation responded, lifting their arms toward the illuminated sky, something shifted. It was as though the sacred light was alive, pulsating with energy, reaching back down into their midst. A low rumble echoed outside, but it was not the roar of the storm. It was a call, inviting, beckoning. Mary opened her heart wider, surrendering fully to the moment. She could feel the community around her, a web of hope and prayer binding them together. But in the depths of her spirit, she sensed that the night held even more secrets. What awaited her? Would sorrow and relief dance together in a profound revelation, intertwining at the heart of family and faith? Could they truly embrace the miracle promised? How much further would they be led into this divine experience beyond what they had imagined? As Mary stood, arms raised and heart wide open, the stranger's voice coalesced with the rising spiritual current, and anticipation hung thick in the air, promising transformation. While the church glimmered, one final question loomed, echoing across their collective heartbeat. What would be revealed at the peak of their united faith? The moment hung suspended, like the final note of a hymn before the congregation's exhale. It wasn't just Mary who felt the pulse of possibility. Others had sensed it too. Their arms lifted in unison, faces tilted skyward, mirroring the faith blooming within the walls of the church. Hope circled like the gentle breeze, wrapping around each individual, uniting their spirits in expectation. Then, as if the very heavens had taken notice, a soft quaking reverberated deeper within Mary's core. The rhythm of her heart synchronized with the energy in the room. It was a vibration that felt both foreign and familiar, a sacred resonance promising change, a Pentecost of sorts for those gathered. The elderly stranger's voice pierced through the stillness again. "Miracles are waiting just beyond your reach. Open your minds and hearts to the possibilities." His eyes sparkled as he spoke, and his urgency compelled the crowd to draw closer, some leaning in, as if to catch the very essence of his words. Mary's breathing deepened.
In this moment of communion, she felt the veil between earth and heaven lifting. The ache for her son became a prayer, whispering directly into the infinite, "Please, Lord." As she continued to lift her heart, she felt a shift within her soul, a reassurance that mingled with the spirit of the community around her. She glanced at her husband, Jonathan. His brows were furrowed, yet there was something fierce in his expression. He seemed to be wrestling with his doubts, but also, she noticed, wrestling with hope. "Can we truly believe?" he mouthed, not wanting to disrupt the sacred stillness around them. Just
then, the light within the church intensified. It enveloped Mary like a tender embrace. It shimmered and danced, casting halos over the heads of those who dared to surrender their doubts. She turned back to the stranger, who now stood at the forefront, a silent guardian of their hopes. "Breathe in the light," he urged gently, the richness of his voice wrapping around them like a warm blanket. "Let it fill your spirit. Let it chase the shadows away." The air thickened with prayers that resonated between souls, lifting burdens and knitting hearts together in unwavering faith. Mary felt drawn to close her eyes once more, intuition guiding her. She imagined all her worries morphing into ethereal threads, floating upwards like dandelion seeds, each carrying her pleas toward the heavenly realm. In her mind's eye, she saw James, the vibrant boy full of laughter and dreams, caught in the troubles of this world. But here, amid the prayers, he was bathed in light, no longer bound by earthly limitations. "Lord, let him be healed," she whispered deeper than her voice. "Let him be free." Unbeknownst to her, the atmosphere shifted in the church. Others, too, were visualizing their burdens, their bleak realities suspended like fragile glass ornaments. Together, they released a collective sigh, a wave of catharsis that swept through the room, leaving them refreshed. Suddenly, a loud clap of thunder echoed outside. The storm had arrived, but to Mary it sounded less like a threat and more like divine applause for their faith. Nature itself seemed to respond to the encounter unfolding within the church. It became a sacred space, sanctified by their hopes. As the gathering resonated with one another, the stranger beckoned them to focus again. "Claim your healing," he instructed, extending his arms towards them. "Acknowledge the miracles in motion. They await your acceptance." Mary's heart danced between anxiety and exhilaration. Could there really be transformation waiting ahead? What threads of divine purpose would be woven into their lives tonight? The congregation swayed in response to the rising tide of faith, unyielding, persistent, unshakable. And as the world outside roared in chaos, their sanctuary glimmered more brightly. What awaited them beyond that light? Would profound truths unfold in their eager hearts, revealing the depths of divine love? They stood on the precipice of revelation, hands entwined, hair tousled by divine winds. What would be unveiled in this miraculous night? With hearts entwined and hopes soaring high, the congregation inhaled deeply, drawing in that sacred light promised by the elderly stranger. The air thrummed, an electric hum that danced along their skin, igniting every spirit present. Mary opened her eyes and looked around. Joy and anticipation blended into divine expectancy. It was as if they were all cradled in a mystical embrace. "Believe, just believe," the stranger urged again, drawing Mary's gaze back to him. His eyes sparkled with an intensity that made her heart skip a beat. "You came here seeking change, didn't you? Let it happen. Trust in the power of your faith." Mary felt the weight of doubt bearing down. She thought of James and his struggles, and feeling the hollowness of despair creeping in, she willed herself to focus. "No," she whispered resolutely, "I will not let doubt take root." Every breath carried prayers, and every heartbeat sang hymns of trust. As their collective faith built like a rising tide, something extraordinary unfolded. The light became so radiant it transformed the church into a sanctuary of pure love. Faces glowed not just with reflection, but with a deep inner illumination, as if divine truth itself was being poured into them. "Raise your hands," the stranger encouraged, lifting his own. His voice rose above the murmur of souls, echoing through the hollowed space. "You are not alone. You are supported by love, by community, by God. Let the burdens fall away." Mary felt compelled, her hands lifted high, fingers spread wide. The warmth flowed through her, igniting a fire of surrender. Her voice joined the chorus of others who sang and prayed louder, daring the heavens to break open. Outside, the storm raged on, yet inside, the rains of doubt and despair were washed away. Hushed whispers transformed into cries of heartache released. One woman sobbed out loud, "Heal us, Lord," and her words hung heavy with vulnerability. A ripple moved through the congregation, a powerful shifting of hearts, uniting in shared vulnerability. Mary's eye caught her husband's. Jonathan looked upon her not with worry, but with an undeniable flicker of hope. "We must name it," the stranger shouted. "Identify what binds you. We have the power to speak life into our circumstances." Tears streamed down Mary's cheeks as she felt the weight of her son's struggle lift. "James," she cried, "we ask for you to be whole." Those simple words carried the essence of her love, her unyielding faith that God could reach him wherever he might be. It was not mere plea, it was a declaration of belief. Then, in a moment of stillness, the thunder ceased, and the air thickened again. A hush settled over the congregation, as if every soul held its breath, waiting, watching, believing. "A vision," the stranger breathed, turning towards them all. "The Spirit is moving. Close your eyes and see it, the healing. Picture it vividly, paint the scene of restoration with faith." In the silent space that followed, Mary obeyed, envisioning James embraced in brilliance, happy and whole. Suddenly, she felt a release. It was not just a prayer, it was an invitation for God's presence in her son's life, a bridge to possibilities beyond human comprehension. The light swirled, and an overwhelming sensation of unity enveloped them. Mary sensed that everyone present was partaking in something far greater than themselves. This was not just a moment, it was an awakening. She could feel hearts beating in sync, recognizing that the miraculous was not too far out of reach. And in the midst of this profound encounter, an unexpected question. What if their faith could extend beyond this room? What if they could affect change far and wide, an unstoppable wave carrying light into the world? The stranger raised his voice above the stillness again. "Now is the time. Release, visualize, and trust. There is power in collective faith, the kind that can change lives as sweetly as the morning sun dissolves the night." A powerful surge of divine energy filled the room. Would they dare to believe the impossible? All eyes were fixed on the stranger. The question loomed, charged with anticipation. What new revelations awaited them just beyond their willingness to surrender? As the light pulsed and shimmered around them, a hush enveloped the sanctuary, a sacred pause pregnant with hope. Mary could feel the electricity of faith crackling in the atmosphere, a potent reminder that they were standing on holy ground. She sensed the hearts of those around her. It was as if they were all branches on the same tree, grounded in a shared yearning for renewal. In this holy moment, the elderly stranger began to move through the crowd, a gentle giant radiating calm. His presence was magnetic, pulling people toward him like bees to the light. One by one, he spoke words of encouragement, whispered prayers of affirmation, and renewed the weary. Watching him, Mary felt her spirit swell. This was more than a prayer meeting. It felt like an awakening, a call to action. "Proclaim your freedom," he called, his voice carrying a rich cadence that rang in Mary's ears. "What are the chains that hold you? Speak them, let them fly. In unity, there is release." A man in the front hesitated at first, but then shouted, "Fear! I cast away fear!" The moment those words left his lips, a wave of applause rippled through the congregation. "Yes, yes," others began to echo. "Doubt! I release doubt!" cried a woman, her voice breaking with emotion. Mary's heart raced. She felt the courage rising like a bubble from the deepest part of her soul. "Anger!" she finally called out, forcing the word from her throat. The crowd felt her weight. The tension in the air shifted once again. It vibrated with an unspoken understanding. An aura of acceptance fell over them, encouraging more to unburden their hearts. There was something powerful about voicing those hidden struggles, releasing them into the open air. It became a communal cleansing, a vulnerability shared among brethren. The stranger's voice crescendoed once more. "Each word you speak has the power to ignite change, not just for you, but for the world. Speak life, speak light." Those words transformed into a rhythm, a chorus echoing through the church. "I release loneliness. I release despair." The net of burdens did not simply dissolve, it was transformed into a safety net of trust and unity, catching every trembling heart in its embrace. As Mary joined in, she felt lighter, unchained and free, the layers of her
worry peeling back. People were not merely spectators, but co-creators in a divine narrative. She looked at Jonathan, and his face lit with pure love. A shared understanding that this was their moment too, a turning point for their family. And then something magical happened. The light, once bright but steady, shifted in tone, casting hues of gold and pink across the walls, wrapping them in a cocoon of warmth. It felt alive, as if each strand of light were infused with whispers of grace. Mary closed her eyes, letting the vision overwhelm her. She saw herself walking with James. He was vibrant, filled with laughter and joy, free from the chains of his past. It was a luscious picture painted by hope, far from the shadows that once loomed large. Suddenly, a voice called out, breaking into her vision. "What's your vision? Share it. What do you see?" Mary opened her eyes into the tangible light and spoke her heart out loud. "James is healed. He is filled with purpose." The affirmation bounced off the walls, and in that echo she could feel the congregation rallying around her, holding that same image for her son. What if this healing could ripple into every life, embracing the unlovable, spreading light in dark corners? The stranger questioned, drawing their hearts even closer. But just as the hope soared, a thought pricked at Mary's mind. What if fear crept back in after this moment? Would they truly embrace the change? The stranger's gaze seemed to meet hers, piercing and wise. "Your faith has the power to change the world. What would that look like for you?" With those words hanging in the air, the congregation held their breath, realizing the depth of the challenge laid before them. Would they rise to the occasion? Would they dare to believe together beyond the walls of the church? And as the light shimmered in response, the question loomed larger than before. What miracles awaited them the moment they stepped into their true calling? A profound stillness wrapped around Mary, the air thick with anticipation and possibility. The stranger, his eyes glimmering with wisdom, encouraged the congregation. "Imagine the world transformed by your faith, each chain broken, every heart mended." His words hung in the air, reverberating with truth, awakening something deep within the assembly. Mary sensed a pulse, a heartbeat of hope that throbbing fervently among them. What if this wasn't just a moment? What if this was the dawn of something new, a grand awakening, not just for them, but for the world beyond these walls? The elderly man continued, his tone soothing yet powerful, drawing each soul closer. Within each of you lies the seed of divine destiny. Speak forth what you've envisioned. Let your voice rise unhindered. Around her, people began to share visions, paint pictures of what they longed to see in their lives. Each declaration felt like fresh air in a stifling room. "I see joy," a woman exclaimed, her face illuminated with
"Newfound light. Hope," a young man shouted, energy palpable in his declaration. Mary found herself swept up in the spirit. "I see families healed," she added, her eyes glistening with tears of joy. Every word she spoke seemed to break the surface tension, rippling outward like the waves of a tranquil sea disturbed by a gentle stone. As the sounds of declarations mingled, a chorus grew, harmonious and pure. "I see love conquering fear. I see unity in diversity." These expressions wove together, creating a tapestry of faith that both encircled and uplifted them. But just then, a ripple of doubt brushed against Mary's heart, a chilling reminder of past struggles. The worries that had clung to her like shadows started whispering again. What if this was fleeting? What if the waves of despair returned once more to drown their hopes? She turned her gaze to the stranger, who sensed the shift, his voice unwavering. "Yes, the doubts will come. They always do. But in this sacred moment, choose to anchor yourself in truth." His words pierced through her uncertainty, igniting a spark that fought to stay bright against the impending shadows. Truth, Mary mused inwardly. What was her truth in this tapestry? Suddenly, an image filled her mind, a vision of her family, intertwined with light and laughter, joy spilling over like a fountain of blessings. In that frame, James was radiant, free to embrace life fully. The stranger's voice echoed in her soul. "There is a supernatural exchange happening. Grasp it, hold it tight." Mary clutched her heart, a quiet determination arising within her. James is whole, and our family thrives in the light of his love. The room vibrated with energy as many others joined, fortifying her vision. Yet, amid the rising fervor, Mary sensed a stirring, a need to urge everyone further. We cannot just have visions here. We must take these truths outside. What happens beyond tonight? Can we carry this light to our lives, to places of despair? An electric silence filled the sanctuary as her question hung in the air, a tangible challenge. As eyes met, assurance painted their faces. They were more than just participants in a service. They were participants in a divine promise. As the light in the room swirled and danced, illuminating their resolves, Mary felt a wave of warmth wash over her. Could they truly wield the power of faith to embrace a world awaiting change? The stranger smiled knowingly. The journey into the miraculous beckons. Be bold, step forward. With hearts aligned and spirits ignited, they stood at a threshold. What awaited them as they embraced this charge? What miracles awaited in their bold step into the world's shadows? A beautiful unknown opened before them, shimmering with the promise of divine encounters. Would they dare to venture forth? As they stood together, a hush descended. The flickering candles cast dancing shadows, merging with the radiant hope filling the room. Mary felt a compelling urge to move, as if their collective faith beckoned her to take the first step. Her heart raced, anticipation igniting her spirit. Could it really be possible? She pondered, straining against the weight of doubt that lingered in the corners of her mind. One by one, people began to rise, forming a circle. There was an unspoken understanding that this was more than just a gathering. It was an inauguration of faith, a crucible for collective strength. "We can touch the wonder of the divine," someone shouted, breaking the tension. The energy surged, and hands were clasped in unity, fostering an electric connection that vibrated with promise. "Let's claim our truth," another voice cried.
It was contagious, the insistence, the boldness. Everyone began to vocalize their collective longings and burdens like a powerful tidal wave crashing against rocky shores. We declare healing. We declare release. The air thickened with the Spirit as each declaration rose higher than the last. Mary closed her eyes, feeling the ripples of fervent prayer wash over her. Lord, we trust you. We believe in your goodness. The sweet aroma of hope filled her lungs, reminding her of the peace that accompanies surrender. Encouraged by the voices around her, she let go of her fears, one by one, releasing them into the waiting arms of grace. Slowly, the older man at the center raised his hands, and a hush spread like wildfire through the congregation. Now, let's present our burdens, lay them down at this altar of faith. There is freedom in the giving. With each heartbeat, Mary felt the weight lift. She envisioned those chains, her concerns about James and all that she held. Each worry seemed to dissolve into weightless air, turning into pure energy of purpose. "Come forth," the stranger called gently, and Mary grasped the moment. She stepped closer, her heart pounding with hope and eagerness. One by one, people moved toward the altar, placing their burdens there, their hands trembling with revelation. Mary joined them, laying her anxieties down, drawing strength from the faith surrounding her. Suddenly, a gentle breeze swept through the sanctuary, accompanied by a soft light radiating from where they gathered. Gasps were heard, all eyes widening in amazement. "Look," someone whispered, "his presence is here." A bright warmth enveloped them like a comforting embrace, and Mary felt the raw power of devotion rolling through the group, weaving together their convictions and prayers. Her heart soared as she looked around, every face illuminated by an undeniable glow. "This is it," she thought. "This is what we were meant to experience." With each passing moment, a growing anticipation filled her spirit, a sense that something transformative was in the air, a revelation ready to manifest itself. As the group stood together in this divine moment, the stranger's voice boomed with fervor and clarity. "You have laid down your burdens. You have declared your truths. Now, let's walk in the miraculous." In that instant, Mary felt an urgency rise within her, mingling with her spirit. The mystery of divine revelation was upon them, waiting
to be discovered as they exited this sacred space. What awaited them in the world beyond those doors? Could it be that the shadows they were tasked to illuminate were closer than they thought? Today's bold step could lead to tomorrow's miraculous transformation. Would they dare to carry the light into their lives? With hearts brimming with newfound courage, the group stepped out of the sanctuary into the crisp evening air. The sounds of the world surged around them, a gentle rustle of leaves, distant laughter, and the soft whisper of breezes abounding with possibilities. Mary felt the transformation begin within her, a new chapter unfolding before her eyes. As they walked down the path, the warm glow from the candles remained etched upon their hearts. Each step echoed with a divine rhythm, a reminder of the light they had embraced. Mary looked to her left and saw a woman beside her, her face radiant, tears glistening in her eyes. "It feels different now, doesn't it?" the woman asked, her voice trembling with joy. "Yes," Mary replied, a smile blooming on her lips. "It feels like we have been set free." The air around them buzzed with hope as others shared their thoughts, voices intertwining like a sweet melody. Some recounted moments of peace that washed over them, while others spoke of heavy burdens that somehow felt lighter. There was a tangible shift, one that disrupted the ordinary and replaced it with a sense of awe. Then the older man, the same who had led them in their prayer, moved ahead, lifting his arms in gratitude. "Brothers and sisters, we are part of something magnificent. Let us not forget this moment. It's not just for now, it's for all the tomorrows that our faith will guide us through." The excitement painted a smile across everyone's faces. Mary gazed up at the stars twinkling above, wondering about the mysteries they held. She felt a thrill of adventure spark within her. "What if this is just the beginning?" she murmured, almost to herself. Suddenly, a shout pierced the night, drawing her attention. A child stood nearby, having chased after a runaway dog that had dashed across their path. The child fell, skinning his knee. Sobs filled the air, and Mary's heart ached. As she instinctively rushed over, she caught the gleam of the older man's eye, who quietly joined her. "Look," he said softly, kneeling beside the crying boy. "Let's show him a glimpse of healing right now." Mary nodded, kneeling with him, feeling that same power still coursing through her veins. "It's going to be okay," she assured the child, her voice gentle. "We're here with you." The man's calloused hands tenderly brushed against the boy's knee, and he began to pray, invoking the same spirit that had filled the sanctuary moments earlier. As the words flowed from his lips, Mary felt a warmth envelop them, a tangible energy wrapping around the child. She placed her hands over his trembling ones and whispered up, "Lord, let this child feel your love. Let him know he is never alone." Like an invisible current, comfort radiated through the boy, his sobs beginning to subside. With each soothing word, hope blossomed anew. It was miraculous. The convergence of their faith created a moment where pain met compassion, where hurt transformed into healing. With astonishment lighting his face, the boy looked up, eyes wide, and as if given a secret only the divine could unveil, he marveled, "I feel better already." Mary's heart swelled. "We were meant to share this," she thought, glancing at the older man. There was no denying it. Their burdens had the power to uplift others. Could they be the vessels of healing in a world craving light? As they continued their walk, more stories unfolded, and every step felt like a brushstroke on the canvas of divine intervention. The whisper of hope echoed in the air, leaving them eager to embrace the next moment. What awaited them as they moved forward? Would they discover the healing they brought also intertwined with their own journeys? Surely, the night held more secrets, and Mary felt an undeniable pull, something just beyond their grasp, waiting patiently to reveal itself. As they strolled further down the path, laughter and joy surrounded the group like a vibrant tapestry woven from their shared experiences. Each story shared was a thread that stitched their hearts closer together. Mary felt that warmth radiating not just between them, but also reaching towards something greater. With the glow of the candles now settled deep within her memory, Mary turned to her companions. "What if we shared this light with someone else?" Her words hung in the air, filled with possibility. The older man smiled knowingly. "Exactly. Let us not keep this joy hidden. There are many waiting for a spark, for hope, just like we were." They passed a bench where an elderly woman sat, her brow furrowed in worry. Without hesitation, Mary approached her. "Excuse me, ma'am," she began softly. "Is everything all right?" The woman looked up, surprise in her eyes. "Oh, dear child, it's been a challenging day. I've lost my way. I just want to get home." Mary felt her heart tighten, knowing that the touch of despair was all too familiar. "You're not alone anymore," she said, reaching for the woman's hand. "We're here to help." The group gathered around, forming a circle of support. The older man stepped into the center, leading them in a prayer. "Lord, guide this beloved soul home, and fill her with the peace we have felt tonight." As they prayed, a stillness washed over the bench. It wrapped around the woman and enveloped Mary and her friends. It was electric, like the air just before a storm, charged with divine presence waiting to burst forth. Tears sparkled in the elderly woman's eyes. "I can feel it," she exclaimed, voice quivering with disbelief. "It's as though my heart has lifted." Mary beamed, surprised at how natural it felt to be a part of something so profound. "It's the light," she said gently, "the love that brings us together. It knows no bounds." Suddenly, a rustle in the bushes caught her attention. A young man emerged,
his expression anxious and distraught. "Did someone say prayer? I need it. I'm lost, just like her. I can't find my way, not just here, but in life." The sudden shift of attention was like a meteor shower of mead, each plea drawing them closer to the heart of the matter. Mary felt the urge to step forward, her spirit ignited with purpose. "Your journey isn't in vain, my friend. Here, we can help guide you." With a soft, inviting tone, she called for the group to gather around him. They held hands tightly, forming a living chain of faith. The old man began to pray again, this time for direction and clarity for the young man. Mary felt the very air pulse with anticipation, as if the heavens were leaning in to hear their cries. As they prayed, the young man found his voice. "I've lost hope. I'm just so tired." The raw vulnerability cracked open a portal for deep connection, igniting a wave of empathy amongst them all. Mary squeezed his hand. "Remember, we started as strangers, but here we are, connected by love and faith. The path ahead might seem unclear, but together we walk in light." Hope shimmered in the air, laughter from the previous moments merging with this newfound sense of renewed faith. As the prayer concluded, a warm breeze swept through, rustling leaves like gentle applause. They opened their eyes to see the young man smiling through tears. "I can feel a weight lifted. Thank you." In that sacred moment, Mary's heart leaped. They were not mere participants of a journey. They were becoming co-creators of miracles. How could they have known the depths of their combined faith? As they began to disperse, a question lingered on Mary's lips. What if? What if this was only the beginning of their collective redemption? The night whispered secrets meant to be discovered, not just in solitude, but in communion. Where else would this light lead them? Would they be ready for the even greater revelations that awaited? With a full heart and open spirit, she glanced toward the shimmering path ahead. As the dawn broke over the village, a gentle light filtered through the trees, painting the ground with a golden hue. Mary stood outside the church, the weight of the past night lifting from her shoulders like morning mist. The memory of shared prayers, of burdens released, was etched deep within her soul. Together, they had ventured beyond mere illness, past fear and despair, into the realm of shared spirits, the divine web binding them, tight and comforting. This is where hope begins, she thought, her heart dancing as she recalled the transformative moments of the previous night. In the distance, Mary spotted Jonathan approaching, his face glowing. "Did we really experience that?" he asked, incredulous, but his voice was filled with wonder. "Yes!" Mary exclaimed, her own eyes shimmering with tears of joy. "What we felt was real. We have seen the power of faith. It's alive. It's moving." As they spoke, others began to filter from the church, faces bright with newfound hope and purpose, just like Mary's. Some hugged one another with warmth, while others recounted miraculous stories of healing and release. "I saw my sister in prayer," a woman shared excitedly, "and I felt her chains break. She's going to be okay." Around them, a ripple of joy spread like wildfire. Laughter echoed, hearts united in shared testimony. They were no longer just individuals chasing healing. They were a community woven together by faith, stepping boldly into the purposes God had laid before them. Mary felt an overwhelming urge to gather everyone for one more moment of prayer, to solidify their commitment to carry the light beyond that sacred space. "Let's meet again," she proposed, joy bubbling in her voice. "Let's lift one another up until the whole village knows, until everyone feels this love." The congregation erupted in agreement, their excitement palpable. Jonathan gently squeezed Mary's hand. "Together, we can be the beacon of light our community needs," he said, glancing at her as if they shared a secret pact. As they dispersed, echoes of their inspiring journey filled the air, twinkling like the stars above as they moved through the village.
Mary knew they were embarking on a greater calling beyond their initial prayer meeting. It was destiny pulling them into the embrace of purpose. Days turned into weeks, and with every encounter, they celebrated new miracles and affirmations that the divine presence remained among them. Mary watched as others began to share their own stories of hope, weaving threads of joy and resilience within the community. She felt consumed by gratitude, knowing that every person touched was a living testimony to their collective faith. Then, one sunny afternoon, as the village gathered in the park for a community event, Mary spotted a familiar face. A woman from the nightly vigil, her frail figure now vibrant and steadfast. "I'm healed," she declared, her voice ringing through the crowd. The community erupted in applause, the sound echoing love and thankfulness. Mary's heart swelled. "We walked in unity," she praised, and Jonathan echoed her sentiments, reminding everyone that faith had power. Just then, the elderly stranger appeared at the edge of the gathering. Mary approached him. "You opened our eyes to what faith can do," she said with a full heart. The stranger simply smiled, as if he knew all along what blessings were born from surrendering burdens to the Lord. With hands clasped, they prayed together, the congregation standing united, ready to walk boldly into their community and beyond. Each heart was ignited, their voices rising in declaration, "We are healed, we are free." As the sun set, bathing them in brilliant hues, Mary realized this was more than just a resolution to a prayer. It was the beginning of an everlasting journey, a call to share God's grace, breaking chains and lifting spirits. Mary smiled, knowing their work was just starting. "Together, we'll shine like stars, all pointing back to Him," she whispered to Jonathan as they watched the village embrace the light of divine hope. And in a world aching for restoration, they stood at the forefront, a beacon of faith, a living testament that shadows can be conquered and love set free. This was their moment, and they would carry it forward, illuminating paths where hope dared to tread, hearts open to endless possibilities. Join us in this embrace of faith. You need to subscribe now so you won't miss the next exclusive stories of transformation. Leave a like right now to feed the algorithm and spread the light. Comment below your reactions and testimonies about this powerful ending. And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to witness the divine manifestation of hope.